Hello and welcome to another video. So today we're taking a look at an Earth Rune deck. These have been floating around a little bit and they're a bit of fun. I wanted to give them a fair go as I felt like they were being a little underrepresented overall. I mean, a few players have posted some pretty insane win streaks with them in the last couple of weeks, but honestly they're still not really getting much notoriety. I think it's because they do have a pretty steep learning curve as far as making sure you know what you're playing and know what your draws are going to be, sort of thing, which definitely took me a bit of time to get the hang of, and I'm still learning, of course, as far as that goes, as Dirt Rune was never something I played a super amount of, mainly because we didn't have a decent way to get rid of our Earth sigils all at the same time, which, of course, with the new Golem, we actually do, as it is an Excel 1, and it removes everything on your board from your hand, so that's actually really decent. It's very hard to completely brick yourself with this Golem card, unless, of course, you are absolutely hopeless, in which case you could brick yourself. But, honestly, it's great. It's a great bit of fun. It does the job pretty nicely. It's not super expensive, as it does only run 8 legendaries. Yeah, 8 there. That's not too bad, honestly, considering, again, most decks now are running around the 6 to 8 legendary mark on average. So this definitely falls in that very average area for a deck, so not too bad. So hopefully you guys will enjoy it, and we'll get right into the video. So the biggest thing I found with this deck when kicking it off, other than of course going up against Dragon is usually a pretty decent match, was that you really want to aim for a smelter as soon as you can. If you can get the Iron Scrap Smelter into your hand early, like in this situation, you have a much better time dealing with your opponent's threats, as you do block out any early damage, while at the same time putting an Earth Sigil down, which you can take really good advantage of. Vesper Witch Hunter is also a good option, as it does deal some damage, but that's also really good for late game damage, as of course with the Mysteria boosts for spell damage, they come in really handy. Another thing you want to try and get in your hand a lot is Golems. And the way we've got this deck set up is you've got Owen of Mysteria and you've got Mysteria Magic Founder. Owen will guarantee that you pull Founder every single time, just based on the fact that we're only running Founder as the only other Mysteria follower. We are running, of course, Knowledge, which is really good. Mysterian Knowledge does a wonderful job as just a spell booster type card, as well as giving you a bit of defense and damage, so always a good one to take. So we're kicking off pretty well, honestly. We've got a couple of decent Earth Sigils down going off the early game. We're going to be able to use the Magic Missile to pick up a quick and easy clear and set ourselves up with another decent body, which happened to be a Clay Golem this time. That's the preferred thing to get out of Silent Laboratory, although Zombie isn't, of course, terrible. But they are going to wipe this board very quickly and draw a couple of cards, as 0 damage does still count as damage. And now it's just a matter of us taking the lead with Founder here. That's really what you want to do. Usually I want to get at least 2 Founders down to win the game. That's usually the best way to do things. Thanks to us having Owen, we're actually going to have a decent chance at pulling that off. Although it does mean we can't do anything too big until about turn 8. I like to really use the Golem after I've already played Mysteria Founders, because of course getting a decent board is always really important. And now we're going to have a pretty decent chance going for a Mysteria. And I chose not, of course, like I said, not to play the Golem yet, as I can use it next turn with Magic Founder if I play it onto the board. The odds of them clearing out the 1-2 is extremely high, especially now that they've played Omen of Disdain and are going to take full advantage of that. And even at 18 health, it becomes very quick to just absolutely slaughter your opponents with this deck. As you'll see here, we're going to get a good chunk of damage in very quickly. So there is 8 damage, and we also got 1 Golem and 1 Ritual. That's actually not a bad spread. I prefer to get the Rituals and the damage over Golems most of the time, as that damage is much more important. And with what we have in hand, we actually have lethal. Very easy. Missile is 3 right now for face damage. Ritual's at 5. And of course, the Magic Missile is at 3 as well. So that does give us a total of 11 damage to face, just in those 3 cards there. So as long as we had a target, we're going to have a very easy time getting that lethal off. And made that dragon pretty easy to deal with. And next up, we're actually going up against Sword, which is pretty much what we covered last video. I mean, Sword decks don't have too much variation at the moment. They're all pretty much the same, using the same base engine and high end, which is the most important cards, running very similar legendaries with very little variation. It does make the match a little predictable, which isn't bad. Predictable can be quite handy. So there it goes. That's basically, you know, Katana Unsheathed is Quick Blader. So that's pretty straightforward. We start off with a much more Mysteria heavy hand, which isn't a really great way to start things off. Again, I do like going for Smelter more so than anything, but I'm not going to pass up a Founder and a Golem. They're both really good cards. It's just that we need to buy some time. Luckily, we did end up getting a Smelter as well, but we still can't use it yet. You don't want to leave up any big damage threats. Anything in the 2 damage range is really bad in the early game to have to deal with. Fortunately, we got a little lucky with some of these spells. We're going to easily pick these off, which is really good. We're only taking a little bit of damage from this Katana now. And we can actually get rid of it this turn and have a chance to actually thin our deck out pretty quickly. Which is pretty ideal, honestly. The more cards you can thin out of your deck in the early game, of course, the easier it's going to be to draw cards predictably and get things that you need to set yourself up. So as you can see here, we're pretty set up now. I mean, we're going to be able to go Magic Founder Evo, probably into another Magic Founder Evo, and probably just go straight into Golem plays, which is going to be really good. We should actually be able to finish this match reasonably quickly. Especially if they happen to leave any of these up. So we're going to be forcing them to remove these now. Celia, Hope Strategist. This one, not so much fun to deal with, as I don't really have a practical way to do so. At this point, my best play is really just to drop the Mysteria Founder, drop a Scrap Iron Smelter, and block out as much as I can. Well, of course, buying our time. But now that we have both Magic Founders on board, like, as effect, we are now dealing +2 on every single spell, which is going to make clearing things very, very easy, and make all our damage much more threatening. And a Witch's Snap, that's not a bad draw. But, of course, it is a Golem turn. As when the Golems do die, they do drop a couple more Earth Sigils, coming in really handy. And when they go up to 9 cost, it makes it even harder to brick, because it means you've only got to play a spell of 2 cost, and realistically you could then play it off very easily. They're also going for Honorable Knight. That's a good one to see. Means we only have to deal 2 damage to it, which we can actually do with our 2/2. That way clean up a spot so that we can actually take full advantage of our Witch's Snap into Earth Essence play for our Golem. So we can get a full 5. And that's still not another bad spread. We did get the Rituals, which are really nice bits of damage. I don't think they're quite as good as just straight up getting damage to our opponent's face, because of course you're only gaining +1 off them. Suppose you get the chance at a draw, which is okay, but that's really it. And with these couple of Rituals, we're actually going to be dealing 5 damage each one, so 10 just off those 2 alone, without adding in either a Vesper or a Magic Missile, so this is going to make it very, very easy to win this game. We actually had 14 just in hand alone, and that's crazy as far as damage can go. So definitely enjoy playing this deck. It's something that I would definitely have to play more to get better at it, of course. It's one of those sort of decks that has that higher learning curve, at least as you start out, because there are just so many overwhelming effects here and things to keep an eye on to make sure that you are getting the most out of your cards and the value. They're not just straight up, hey, play this Storm, hit face sort of thing. It's definitely something that you want to make sure you're using correctly, or at least as correct as possible, and taking as much advantage from the cards as you can. So if I had to rank it, I would definitely say it takes a lot more effort to get this going, which is obviously not a problem. Once you do get it down though, I feel like it's going to be one of those decks that you don't really have to think about because you know everything off by heart, and it just becomes a muscle memory sort of thing, and really then you're just playing against what your opponent plays, and that becomes much easier, of course. So hopefully you guys did enjoy the video. Hit the like button and subscribe. You'll find the deck link in the description below. Until next time, see ya.